we coming to you from DeMarco Solar, produced by Sonny's World, powered up by DJ Glam. Yes, indeed, is what we do.
Videography by my main man B.
The dude.
Yes,
I don't have no more word. The dude is what we're going to call him.
We're ready to get started. And again, we talking about gun violence tonight. You guys are tuning in. You're going to have to give my people some time to really get into what they talking about. We may get emotional, like I stated earlier. I have my man Faheem to my right and my brother Reggie to my left. The stories are not similar, but both stories are in the gun violence era or perimeter. Faheem's son was killed on the street. My man Reggie's son murdered himself. So with that information, I'm gonna let Reggie start because I had to deal with him and his son through a system, and I'll let him speak on that piece with how he had to deal with that part of dealing with the fact of what happened with him building a relationship with him and his son. And I'll give you the mic from this point forward, Reggie, for right now.
Yeah, I met you a few years back. My son was on the run from New Beginners, I think it was. New Beginners Oil Group on one of the two. And my son Ricardo. And you can hear it. And when I met you was telling him that he had need to step off. And as black men, especially black men who wasn't raised by their biological father. I wasn't raised by my biological father. Actually, I grew up thinking my biological father was my uncle. Until I was maybe 10 years old. Both my parents was on drugs, so I was basically adopted by my aunt and my uncle. So I grew up in their household with my cousins as brothers, my aunt and my uncle as mother and father. So once I had children, I kind of understood where my father was coming from. I mean, not really, it was basically more so I could understand his pain, his hurt. Yeah. That here's your seed that, I carried his name. I'm a junior, and I'm calling this man Uncle Reggie. Yeah, and that really, I know that I had to break him down. So, I explained all that to my son, and was basically trying to get my son on the right path. I didn't want him doing what I did. I come up, Montana Avenue, Brentwood area. And, I dipped and dabbed in the streets, been incarcerated, been shot a few times. And I didn't want that for my son, so I did all that I could to prevent him from going down the road that I took. Right. But, he went to St. Francis. When they first born, he was a good kid, stayed out boy, went to St. Francis private school, Catholic school or whatever. And St. Francis closed down. And once St. Francis closed down, they went to DC public schools. Right. From that point on, it was off to the races, and just so happens that he went to the school that was in the area of Brentwood, Montana. What was it? Slow, but what is Bethune now? Yeah, it was Bethune. So he went there, and I guess from him going there around the kids that grew up in the area where I, roam, they was hearing stories about your father this, your father that, and he wanted to be that. But by the time he was maybe like 10 years old, with me going in and out of jail, I realized that ain't what I want for me, that ain't what I want for my son. So I changed my life completely around. Right. Got out like 07. I haven't been back since, but I started spending more time with him and trying to mold him into what I wanted him to be, but he wanted the streets. And that's what led him into, the New Beginners with you. And yeah, it's okay, bro.
Take a break, man. Like I know it's tough, man. Yeah. Like we got. Like I said it. It's gonna really get emotional in here because, I seen you bringing Shorty up, man, and the minute when I was around him, he was very respectful. He was a good kid, and you could tell all the leadership that was in him. But like you stated, he wanted that street life, and the youngins followed him. Even when I gave him the pass when I first met you, I was like, look, Charlotte, you can go ahead and run it this weekend, but
Yeah,
you need to come see me on Monday.
Yeah.
And he never came. And then you and I build that bond from that point forward. And you was like, look, man, I need my son off the streets.
Yeah.
And a real man can only put forth that effort to be like, look, take him before something else take him.
Right.
Yeah.
He came forward there. He's like, look, man, he at this house, man, go get him.
Yeah, I did that a few times.
Right.
Because, you know, when these youngers on the run, they not getting their education. You don't know where they at. It have been times where I had to snatch him up. I had caught him around the gardens, got a call, he was around Potomac Gardens. I done went in the house, was like 15 youngers doing school, smoking. I'm talking about grandma sitting on the couch. I knock on the door, somebody open the door. I go straight to the back room where they say, yeah, it's like 15 youngers back there smoking. They got wine, they got beers.
How the hell they get that at juvenile?
Yeah, they was youngers.
Right.
Yeah.
Shorty about to hit the window on me. I had to grab him. Nah, come on, walk with me. Took him to the housing and told them, man, he got a custody order. Go ahead and take him. Because one thing I didn't want to do is lose my son to somebody in the streets, because then that's going to make me retaliate. I was going to retaliate. And it didn't happen that way. You know, he ended up taking his life, man. And I just want all parents and anybody to know, man, it's signs, but you have to educate yourself to understand these signs. Like, I didn't get it until once he passed. Then I went back on his Facebook. A lot of these kids, they communicate through Facebook.
Yeah.
And like I was talking to one of my good friends, he worked with kids. You know, I could come up working with kids, but he was saying a lot of these kids be talking about doing something to they self over $100 problem. My mother ain't give me them vans. She gonna miss me when I'm gone. Saying little, you know, and it's all on Facebook. So if you got kids, and this for any listeners, anybody in this room or whatever, if you got kids, pay attention to that Facebook and listen to what they saying subliminally. Because they say some things and we overlook it. See, my son was putting a lot of stuff on Facebook over and over, and it was so much garbage that I just won't even look at it. You know, he putting up so much negativity.
Yeah.
Let me say that. And I just wouldn't look at it, you know, cussing, and it just was embarrassing.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't look at it. But then once he passed and I went back and looked at it, the signs were there. You know, they gonna miss me when I'm gone. He had a girlfriend named Melanie. He telling her, man, Melanie don't know, I'm gonna take her with me. It's just a whole lot of stuff he was saying. And then it crushed you more because you feel like you had a chance to stop it. But, you know, I ended up going to therapy and everything, and the therapist was telling me I could have stopped it that day, but what would have happened to Mom? You know, with whatever he was going through, I would never know, you know, but I did everything in my power to get him with me. I went and got custody of him.
Yeah, I recall that.
You know, but he was screaming, who gonna take care of his mother? And I'm looking at him like, as a 14, 15-year-old kid, that shouldn't be your job. Right. And that's the issue with a lot of the parents, that they allow these young boys to be men too early. You know, at 15, 16, trust and believe, it's a 15, 16, maybe a 17-year-old out Chantilly, and he thinking about going to the mall and having fun and basically still getting dropped off by his parents, because they want that short leash on them. Right. But somehow in the district, these kids are able to roam wild. And from my youngest been like on their own since they was 10, 12 years old. I call my child's mother and, man, where the kids at? 11 o'clock at night, I don't know, anything else? Hanging up, you know, it was just issues, man.
And we're gonna hold it right there for a second. We're gonna take a break, because I recall those problems you was having when you was taking Shorty to the Dallas Cowboy games. Y'all was big on that. I don't like Dallas, let's be clear. Yeah. Y'all too like Dallas.
Don't let that bother you.
But you was taking them traveling and all that with them, man. We're going to hold right there for a second. We're going to take a pause, because I want Faheem to dive into his spiel, because we're going to mesh all this together. I appreciate y'all tuning in, man. Like I said, man, it's gonna get real emotional in here, man. These some brothers that got to talk real deep and from their hearts. Yeah. And that's what we do in here. That's the men's corner, man, where real men talk real stuff. And we're gonna take a quick break real fast. Yeah. Let you hold that right there too. we going back and live. We're gonna move it over to Faheem for a second, and like I stated, my brother Faheem, son was murdered on these streets, and I'm gonna let him tell his spiel on that because I had to deal with him with the obituaries and the things that he had to go through on that level of it. So I'm gonna give it to you from this point. I'm gonna pass you the baton.
And thank you, man. Again, I want to take this time. Thank you and Sonny and you guys for producing this aspect of the Men's Corner to talk about gun violence and things of that nature. My son Brandon Catlett was murdered in Forestville on January the 21st, 2013, and just jumping right to it. Brandon wasn't he was a streetwise kid. It wasn't like he was, I'm not that dad to say, or that parent to say, man, he was a good kid. He didn't bother nobody or none of that. He was a good kid, but he was a part of the element as well. And I knew that. And all of the discussions that we had, and I remember distinctly having a discussion with him before saying, son, the streets is unkind and unforgiving. And he said, Dad, I'm all right. And I said, no, but you're not all right, because if you're involved in this type of lifestyle, I've seen this before. It don't end well. You got to make a decision to leave it alone. Well, that's tough too, because we're in separate households. He's in a household, with his mom, and she's doing the very best that she could do on that end. And I'm doing the best that I can do on this end. And again, the communication lines just didn't cross into that point, because there's some blame on my behalf. And there's some blame on some other halves as well. There's nothing like getting that call at 2:30 in the morning from your own father, which is my father, telling me that my son is to get over to where he live at because he's been shot. That's what he said. And I said, is he okay? And he said, well, I don't know, but he's still over there. And from, my knowledge, I was like, this ain't good if he's still there. So, I get over Forestville, and sure enough, walk up and I see my youngin' laying out there, man, with his backpack and just laying there. Long story short with that, man, I got there about 3 o'clock when I got my clothes on and got over there. And, you look at the police and all that stuff around, and like, what the hell happened? So then the streets started talking. What was interesting is when I pulled up, I seen, as walking down towards the body, I seen a phone in the middle of the street that was broken. And I'm like, is this my youngin' phone? A phone in the middle of the street at this type of time in the morning don't make sense to me. So something's going on. So I told the police that there was a phone there. And I said, y'all need to take a look at that phone. It might be linked to something going on. Of course, the beat cop, they basically ain't paying me no attention. Right. And so I had to wait till the detective come, and, I'm doing a little ear hustling. So I down a little ways, and I hear a young lady, come up and say, that's my man, Love, that's Lil Love. Man, that's fucked up. They did that to Lil Love, man. And so I'm ear hustling. I got the big old coat on with the hood. And I said, what? I said, yeah, that's Love. I said, man, who did this shit? And them peoples gave me first and last name. First and last name, man. And I'm like, yeah. So, I left it alone. Then when the detective come, he called me over and he asked, was his mother there? I said, yeah, she there. I called up. We go to the car. And we walked right past that same damn phone that was broken. And I said, man, I told your people to pick this phone up, man. This phone is laying in the middle of the street. So he got the people to come and pick it up, and there was evidence it was a phone of the dude, the youngin' that was with my son when he got shot up, when he got killed. We get in the car, and the police said, man, we're going to do our best, your condolences, we're going to do our very best to solve this and all that. I said, it's already solved. And he said, what do you mean by that? I gave him first and last name. I said, this is what the streets say, this is the guy. So he say, wow, for real? I said, yeah. He said, where you get that from? I said, well, young lady down the street just told me that. So he said, you mind if I go and talk to her if she's still there? That's my son. Yeah, no, I don't mind at all. Let's go. So we went down there, and she was still standing there, and I just tapped. I said, sister, you know, you may not know that's my son, and you just gave me this bit of information. Can you help this man out and just confirm the name that you gave me? Confirm the name. Well, the next day, the next morning, they was at the dude's house, logging him up. He still had the gun, smoking. You know, my youngin' dead. He been dead again, going on 7 years this January. And the dude, I think he got about 30 years. You know. But when I looked at this kid's history, they killed my son. I couldn't even be mad no more. And people say, why? Because this kid went to a military school. He went to Forestville Military Academy, graduated, went into the military. He came home, got a discharge. When he came home around the way, everybody was talking about how he would dress and steal the fatigues and all that stuff, and, you know, wearing the hats and stuff over his head, and how he was around there purchasing guns or buying guns or selling guns, all that nonsense. And from what they said, youngin' was coming up the way. Yeah, kids ain't got no business being out 2-0 in the morning anyway. But he was coming home from his little girlfriend house, you know what I'm saying? Girlfriend dropped him off. Him and his mom had some words, you know, about him coming in at that time. So, you know, like most kids, he going 21 years old, he give it a man, I ain't trying to hear all that, woo-woo this, woo-woo that. And he grabbed his bag and he started going up the street. Say the youngin' come from behind the trash can and looked at him and say, what's up? And my son, that part of me, said, what you mean, what's up? And the youngin' just stepped back and,
That was, we're going to take another break. Because these gentlemen gotta get themselves together. I know Faheem walks around, he showed the picture of how his son was left out there with the gunshot wound to the head, and he was trying to educate adults and juveniles about these things that's happening in these streets. Both of us work in that perimeter of work where we deal with people with criminal background history. And he actually, both of them, him and Reggie, man, is reaching out to people trying to get awareness to what's happening in these streets. And I think we're real blind to the fact that what's happening. Me and Faheem speak a lot on how I think since the beginning we started doing these shows, it don't matter to people until it hit our household. Both of these kings right here, man, it hit their house. And I'm talking about, like, I've been around both of these brothers for quite some time. And it takes some strong guts, man, for what they've been walking around doing, speaking to people, so it won't happen to the next. Like my man Reggie said, man, he saw the signs. And these two brothers walking around giving information, and I think we should take heed to it. I'm a firm believer, people that did it or know it or been through it are the experts. And my man Faheem always talk about, there's no such thing as passion. Don't talk about I'm passionate at nothing. If I do it, this is what I do. And both of them has been through a lot. And with that right there, because I want to know, because I've seen it on a level with both of them when they had to deal with the other side, right, as men. And we're talking about two strong brothers, there's dominant brothers that had to put their pride to the side, because I seen Reggie attacked at the funeral. I seen Faheem going through it with the obituary, and it wasn't fair. You know, me as a black man, and I haven't been through none of this, but I've spoken to Faheem and some other brothers on just me trying to be a parent and what I had to go through with that, and then for them to have to still be parents and deal with the other side. So we're gonna take a break on that, because I want both of these brothers to take a pause, and I need them to get back to what they were talking about, because you guys out here need to hear. We're gonna take a quick break.
Welcome to DeMarco Solo.
Let's go get it. Come on! So let's go get it. DeMarco Solar, located at 3353 Darnell Drive in Forestville, Maryland. If in fact you got somewhere to go tonight, come see us at DeMarco Solar. We got fresh sweatsuits for you fellas, fresh tees for you fellas, and look, let me tell you something. Something real simple, something real sweet. All colors, all sizes, but here's the deal. DeMarco Solar, we customize a lot of clothing for everybody and anybody. DeMarco Solar, 3353 Darnell Drive in Forestville, Maryland. Come on, come see us, because guess what? We got it all. We got it all.
Back live, people. I appreciate y'all tuning in. This is a heavy subject. I'm getting emotional. But we go. I hate to use that word, but I have to use it tonight. We're gonna dive into. I want to know how Reggie, what made him start to go out and try to reach out to other juveniles. What did you learn in that counseling when you was being counseled through these type of emotions that you was dealing with? How do you deal with those type of things when you're talking to other juveniles that you know that your son was around, that you know that's your son's age?
It was more therapeutic for me to go and talk to some kids, and because I don't want nobody else, no other parent, no father, no mother, no grandparent, nobody, sibling, to go through what me and my family went through. My son, my daughter, him and my daughter was thick as thieves, man. And to see the pain that I got to stay strong for her, and that's hard to do. I still got my issues where, I may cry in my sleep, wake up crying, my wife got to hold me and things like that. But I never want my daughter to see me break, because, and it scares me because every time I hear something of anything happen to a child or a female, I'm calling her, check on her, make sure it's not her, because she heard me one day when she said that her and Carter used to talk about it. Said they used to talk about doing it, but they were scared to do it. And when he did it, she was more so saying that she know Carter was mad that she didn't do it with him. And so that always is in the back of my head, like, I got to check on her, make sure that she's okay. And when I went to therapy, the therapist was telling me, because as men, we always try to look at our boys as they're like us. And the therapist was telling me that you can't look at him like he's you. So, because I hold people at face value, but I knew what he was into, and I can take some blame for that. I knew what he was into. I could have took it from him, but then if something happened to him and he don't have that on him, then I'm blaming myself.
That same guilt, yeah.
But I also never talked to my kids or my nephews about the streets. I never tried to, some parents out here that school their kids to these streets and, try to let them find a way to maneuver around the streets, and because then you condoning it. And I never want to condone the streets to my children or to my nephew. You understand what I'm saying? Right. That makes sense. I'm not okay with that.
Right.
It's other ways to, if you want to be, because most of the time it's they want to fit in, they want to be popular, they want, and you get sucked in. My uncle told me a long time ago, man, he said, it's a line that you cross when you're dealing with these streets, and if you don't seek spiritual help as well as professional help, the streets will suck you up. And you'll be too far gone, because nobody was born like that. Unless you come from one of these gangs, one of these gang-ridden places. Yeah. Nobody was born like that. And that's what I try to give to the kids when I, talk to them. I ran a program called Young Men Making Moves, and it had a spin-off with Young Women Making Moves. And I talk to them about not just like suicide prevention, but life skills and how to make it out here. You know, because I'm a living example, man. I done been in looking at 80 years of life without parole. I done been shot in my head point blank. I shot in my foot, shot in my leg. I'm a living example that if you want to change, you can.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
If you don't want to go to, you don't want to spend the rest of your life in jail. My turning point was 2007 when I was in. I mean, like 2005, I was in and I was out the penitentiary, USP Canaan, and I'm with people that's never coming home, and they still talking about their girlfriends. I'm with the homies, and they're still talking about Rare Essence. And my cell is here, and I got the leader of the Latin Kings. His cell is here, but it's their TV. I got to ask him. That's when BET had that uncut. Okay. So I'm going to him and I'm asking him, man, Santana, can you put it on uncut tonight? Some nights he say, yeah, but when that soccer on, he was dead.
Watch the soccer.
So in my mind, I'm saying, I'm asking another man, can I?
Right.
I'm done. And my children was getting older, and that was my turning point, man. And for my son to do that at the time when I'm trying my best to make a way for him, because I had dreams and aspirations for him, man. I'm driving trucks, and I'm like, I'm gonna give me a truck and business. It's gonna be double R trucking for Reggie and Ricardo.
Right.
And you know, and I hate to say this, man. I know I got some good men, but when I hear my men and them with their kids and their sons, man, and I feel like we're talking to you through no glass, and I don't want to be talking to you to the dirt. And here I am, when I go to that cemetery, I talk to the dirt, man. My son gone, man. And then he did it to himself, man.
Yeah. And that's a...
He did it to himself, man.
That's the toughest part, man.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something. Are you angry with him?
Yeah.
You hear it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know you, but I will say this, you can hear anger. Do you ever think about working on that? Do you think that is an emotion that will go away?
Nah. Y'all done crush me, man.
I beg to differ, because I've seen him speak to other kids, and like his emotions is in it, but it's almost like he's talking to Cardo. Right? Like, he ain't sugarcoating it. He don't care if that's somebody else's kid. He want them to get it.
Right.
You know, at some point in time, I think when we speaking to people, we don't speak to them, we speak at them.
Right.
Slim speaks to them.
Right.
That's what I can say about him. He's never held back anything, and I'm talking about in government facilities, right? Like where there's policies and procedures that you have to follow. And the only thing I know that he followed was the fact that I ain't putting him on camera.
Yeah.
But the rest of it's gonna be real, and it's gonna come from my heart, because you know that's what I feel. My heart is hurting.
Let me ask you something, Faheem. You are, a lot of people know you as Poncho.
Yeah.
Most people get a nickname from being in the streets or knowing at least what goes on in the streets. When you seen Brandon in the streets, did you give him the street talk? Did you talk to him? And not that you condoned it, for him to understand. Once he understood, then what? Are you angry at Brandon?
I'm angry. I'm angry with a lot of people, but I'm putting myself at the top of that, because there was one thing my dad told me a long time ago. I got children by multiple women, you know, and that's my life is an open book. When you have children by multiple women, that means you have to deal with multiple personalities and all of that. And those personalities that you're dealing with can care less about your other responsibilities that you have to take care of. The system in of itself, I give you this. At one point, I was paying child support for 4 of my children at one time. So when you talk about spending time, and everybody you got to spend time. Well, hell, I got to spend time at work in order for this child support to keep coming. Because my biggest thing, like you said, Reggie, I didn't want my son to see me through a glass. That was my number one priority. So in the 80s, everything was cut everything off so that my children don't see me down Lawton. They don't have to come to the feds. They don't have to be behind. I don't have to be behind no glass and none of that. So I worked hard. And lo and behold, I had these children by different women. I'm going through this system, and what pissed me off was I'm working real hard to stay on the street, to not do nothing illegal. And then turn around and all of them can take me back to court in 3 years, every 3 years, to get an increase. And what was messed up about that? When I'm trying to work a part-time job to make ends meet, to take care of the children, or take care of me from taking care of them, them ends was meeting less and less and less. And then we went in that courtroom, the damn system say, okay, your part-time job now becomes earned income. So now we're going to take more from you due to that earned income. So I ain't have a snowball chance in hell. The only thing I had was my father saying to me, man, look here, son. He just said it one time. If you go to jail, I'm not coming to see you. That from him to me. And I'm like, well, what would you want me to do? He said, take your intelligent ass somewhere and get a degree. Go and do that. Get a degree on the street while you're free. Don't go to jail and have to get one and then come home and try to make it work for you. So I took the monies that I did and went and got me a degree, you know, and so it helped me to go into the business that I went into community corrections. And that's why so many people come home now and be like, you do what? You work where? You work for who? Because they know that little youngster that was a little tyrant. The best part about it is, knocking on wood, man, I didn't go to jail. I ain't get locked up. I never used no drugs. I never drank in my life for none of that.
Here running around toting these pistols, and my generation should take some blame for what's going on in the city right now. I'm 45. I'm talking about the people in that range, because when I was coming up, 12, 11, and all those little ages like that, we had the older kids. I mean, the older guys would put us in the car, ride us around, and give us game. Mm-hmm. We didn't do that coming up. Right. When the kids came around, it was man, go take that down the street. Mm-hmm. We didn't pull them up and school them. So now that these kids running wild, and now we blaming them when we should be blaming ourselves. But we have to reach back to them youngers and pull them in, and because it's only gonna get worse, man. Right now these kids running wild with these pistols. They got guns that look like they'd turn you into Thor. Yeah. So if you know a kid that's out here cutting up, man, just give them a word of advice. You don't have to bring them into your home and do all that. Just gotta give them a word of advice, man. This ain't that. They got a place for you, shawty. They hiding you youngins, man. And like I just had a conversation with my friend, you know these neighborhood beefs that's going on right now, where all these people getting killed. It's a 6-year-old that's waiting to get on Santa's lap and tell Santa about a toy. But by the time he turns 17, that young man gonna die in one of these beefs that he has no knowledge of. It's just because your neighborhood don't like this neighborhood. So it's going from generation to generation. If that don't make you feel stupid, that it's a 6-year-old right now today that's gonna get on Santa's lap and talk about a toy. He's happy for Christmas, but by the time he turns 17, he gonna die. Some lady gonna lose their child because she can afford to live. We gotta come up with a solution to stop that.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I can't think of one offhand how we stop that or how we combat that, but we have to, because we all got kids. I got a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
I got a 3-year-old daughter that I love dearly, and I don't want nothing to happen to her. And these people out here running wild with these guns, man, they killing kids.
Yeah.
It's hitting the babies now. So I don't have to be honest, I don't have a solution on how to stop these youngers from just cutting up right now, man, other than giving them some advice. And
you're saying, so your advice to the people out there is like, you know, talk to them, not at them.
Yeah.
You know, like we received it from the elders. They gave us game. We should be giving these kids game.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that, because I've been talking to coaches I've been trying to get this coaches thing together, man. There's so many coaches ride past these babies on the street, and I always say to the coaches, if they can outrun the police, imagine what they can do for you on the court of the football field.
God Almighty.
But we don't take the time to stop and talk to them because a lot of talent is on the street.
Yeah.
I think it need to start with that. I think the first solution need to start with getting these youngins to just get off all these drugs, man. You put this. They got the stuff they call lean. They got perks. They got the drink. They got the weed. All that's. You got the antidepressants. You got the all.
And we have governmental legislators who are applauding efforts to actually legalize stuff and say all but, especially the weed, all but it don't kill nobody. Champ, any mood altering something, most people are involved that get involved in that level of violence. A lot of times it's a mood altering chemical somewhere, whether it's alcohol, whether it's weed, hell, just a cigarette. Just think of what a cigarette do. Nicotine is a mood altering substance as well. Because if you're nervous, it helps you calm down. That's mood altering. So, our legislators got to do a better job. When grown folk, allow our kids to be kids. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Stop giving them the opportunity to be grown super fast. But we have to talk, like you said, talk to them, and we have to show them, beyond a shadow of doubt, how valuable life is through us, not necessarily for us. Because by that I mean, it's easy for the children to look at us. We got everything, we got the cars, we got the house, we got the nice gear and all that. That's for us. But we got to train them to see how they can live through us as well, through our knowledge, through our experiences, through the education that we're giving them. One of the things that I would give is, I always say this to mothers, whatever you're doing, if you got a father, if the father is alive, allow that father to have some level of dialogue with the child and not burden the child with all of the craziness of your emotions.
Yeah, don't intervene.
Let that child and the father develop their own relationship and build upon that piece. But we got to talk and keep it real, you know what I'm saying, with our youngins, and stop pump faking out here, man. Like I said, they dying, man. Yeah. But we got to be there.
Because if you understand this, that if a person is a messed up parent, the child will see that eventually.
Oh, right. Without question.
You don't have to poison the child's mind early and have the child feeling like the parent is messed up. He's no good. He's no good. Because when it comes back and the child sees that you were the problem, then the child's going to be angry at you. So just let the child see. If a parent is not being a parent, the child will see that.
Eventually they will find out. Because like I said, I had multiple children by multiple women, and not all of them were that way. I can't do it. I got some, and I don't like that. They're the mothers of my children. And I've had, for the most part, the majority, no issues whatsoever. Yeah. But then you're going to always have that one that's going to just be going and going and going. And you like, you really trying your hand, but for the love of my child, you get a breather.
Can I ask you, how's the relationship with the kid's mom now? Still good with Brandon's mom?
No, I don't talk to her. Yeah.
I don't know what she.
I don't have no ill will, but I just don't talk to her.
After the situation with what I told you off camera about my son, I never want to see her again.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
So I'm going to speak on the fact that, one, I don't have any sons. I appreciate both of you guys for coming on here and giving this real spiel to parents, kids. It's interesting that we put this together a couple weeks ago, and I had a Hispanic kid in my office yesterday crying. He's dealing with the fact that, I'm about to get emotional. He's dealing with the fact that he lost his dad. His brother was killed due to, because they grew up in gangs. They were up 16th Street. He had substance abuse problems, and he's an alcoholic at the age of 18. And through all his problems, All he asked for was a dollhouse for his 2-year-old niece and his 7-year-old sister.
Not even his biological
Nothing
kids.
for his own self. I work for a place where, and I'm not gonna put it, but I work for a place where a lot of lives are Magic Johnson no look past. His son was one. I don't rock like that. If I gain any type of relationship with you, you belong to me.
Yeah.
I come from that household with no dad, and to see the kids that we deal with on a regular basis deal with the fact that they don't have a dad, and I work for a place where we had $100 million budget, and we're not distributing that money properly. We got life-changing money, and I'm sitting to my left and my right of two brothers that lost their kids to something that I know that can be fixed. I go to meetings twice a week and hear the conversation about a ghost gun. A lot of people don't even know what that is. A ghost gun is a gun that has no serial numbers on it. So if you're caught with a gun with serial numbers on it and you kill somebody, and you're caught with a ghost gun and you kill someone, it goes in 2 separate courts. However, it's the same charge. So ghost gun, to explain to people, no serial numbers, you can't trace it to nothing. So I can't trace it to nothing, I can't give you a federal beef on it. The kids know that. So where the hell a ghost gun even come from? Right? So that right there puts our people in a position to kill, carry, and to shoot at people and stand on a different platform of the law. If it got serial numbers on it, we can throw you away. As my man to my left stated, you got guns out here, man, that make you look like spit up.
Yeah.
And we talking about clips long as the damn gun. We talking about clips that has a circular bottom with holding 30 and 60 rounds. Who we going to see with all this ammunition? But to have a kid speak on the fact that he just want a dollhouse and sit in my office and cry is amazing.
With $1 million budgets.
$1 million budgets. A dollhouse that costs $59.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't like to see these youngers keep going to jail. I want them to get, instead of jail cells and jumpers, let's give them jobs. Because the average youngin that's in the streets, the ones that come through their life, they're not really making no money in the streets. They're just in the streets.
No.
It's not even about $1 with them. But if you give them a chance to make an honest buck, then maybe something will change, man.
And a lot of them, Reggie, in the streets because of the home environment. They ducking what's in the home. Yeah. So if they in the streets, ask yourself a question: Why would they risk going into an element where it's unknown or the known fact is that you're jeopardizing your life going out there versus staying in this home? Why won't these kids stay in the home to save their lives? Because ain't much out there in the streets. If you ain't working, ain't nothing out there. It's already been proven. So why won't they just stay in the house and look what's going on?
It's less in their home.
It's so much less in the home for our kids. But we'll get better with conversations like this and constantly talking. Like, you are the epitome of a damn father. You know what I'm saying? When you take your daughter and raise your daughter to become an attorney with no help other than your mother and father and your granddad and them, your mom and your granddad, man, little kids, man, that's big. You know what I'm saying? But you had to take the initiative to say, I'm going to grab on mine. And all of us linked in got to grab on mine, which is why we got this Men's Corner, and thanks for Sonny for putting this piece together so that we can have these conversations. We can put the agenda out there. we can set the agenda and we can carry that agenda out.
All right, well, I'm gonna close out. I'm gonna close it out again. Once again, I appreciate both of you kings, man, for coming out tonight,
Appreciate
man,
you for
having me, man.
and share your spiel. And I'm gonna close us with this right here, man. Stop passing the kids. Stop having the conversation about this need to stop. And let, like my man Reggie say, let's stop and have a conversation. You coaches, stop riding past these kids. They're athletes. Let's get them inside these schools and do something with it. And I'm going to close us with that. God bless. Good night. And appreciate you guys. And we'll see you next week. We're talking about relationships next week. Have about 6.
Have about 6. This is
tell somebody.
kinky
Tell
straight
somebody.
stuff and deep
Get with
weed.
somebody to call me on this Have about 6.
I don't know what this is right here. It says it's 100% human hair. I don't know what humans he got it from. but it's these are different
Be back next week, y'all. Talking about
Thank you all
relationships. Tune in.
for joining in with us, and we really appreciate you all.